Welcome to episode ba, or episode 3. That was Vietnamese, guys. I know 2 words now. So I had my first big week of teaching this week, so I didn't get up to a lot of fun stuff, I guess. But on Sunday, I ventured out in the rain and went to the ARTINUS 3D Museum. So as you can see, it's a museum full of huge paintings that actually allow yourself as a person to be inserted into them. Each photo spot has a little arrow on the floor and an example of a type of picture that you can take, but of course you can go ahead and do whatever pose you want. It was actually so much fun. We felt like little kids being in there. These scenes that were painted were super strange. A lot of dinosaurs and crocodiles, really weird effects as well, like these eyes that you see here. All in all, it's definitely a nice way to spend a rainy afternoon in Saigon. But yeah, we really enjoyed it. We were there for about 2 hours. The price is a little steep. I probably would not go again. It was $250,000 for an adult on the weekend. But like I said, it is a one-time experience, and you also get a free keychain at the end or 2 free prints of a picture, which kind of makes it worth it. So as you can see, I have mine on my keychain. So yeah, definitely recommend checking out the ARTINUS 3D Museum in District 7 on a rainy day, which is every day in wet season. I really enjoyed it. And here are some pictures that I took here. Hello! I don't know why I always start my videos with a peace sign. Who am I? But anyway, so hope you're doing well wherever you're watching this from. And basically, as you may have seen on my Instagram or Facebook, I wanted to do a Q&A this week. As of yesterday, it was my 1-month anniversary in Vietnam. Which is insane. It feels like I've been here 2 days and 2 years at the same time. But I get a lot of questions, from my friends and family back at home. So I thought, well, why not make a Q&A? That way I can answer all the questions and I can put it out there. So yeah, basically if you see me looking kind of over here, I'm just looking at my computer. I compiled some questions that some people asked, as well as some other questions that I've been asked before. So let's get started. So the number one question that I always get is, why are you moving to Vietnam? Why did you move to Vietnam? And that's like it's a pretty loaded question. So take it back to like January, December of last year. So as some people may remember, I broke my ankle in 3 places. Trimalar fracture, I don't know, something like that. But yeah, I broke my ankle in 3 places walking on an icy sidewalk, which is really ridiculous. So I was house ridden for about 6-7 weeks or so, and obviously I had a lot of time to think of, what am I doing? And I had graduated a year ago and I felt like I was stuck. I wasn't doing anything exciting. And really I hadn't been normal since my coming back from my exchange 2 years ago. Like, living in Europe just opened my eyes to how much beauty is out there, and how even though I love Canada, I wanted to get out in the world and travel. So I was just, I don't know, I was kind of having like a little crisis, I guess you could say. But how could you avoid that when you literally sit on your butt all day by yourself? So one day I had a dream. I literally had a dream that I was living in Thailand, and I woke up and thought to myself, why not? Why couldn't I live in Thailand? So I did more research, how could I make that happen? Would this just be a trip, maybe a month or so? Or did I really want to make a more permanent move? and I started, thinking, oh, maybe I could teach English, like, but it would be an amazing thing. And with more research, I found that Vietnam had like a better English teaching program. There was a lot more availability, but the pay was a lot better. So the pay to cost of living ratio will allow me to save. So I just went for it. I did my TEFL certificate online. I got everything together. I applied and I got a job. And here we are. And number 2, how does the language barrier affect my day-to-day? It's a good question. So obviously most of my day is me teaching kids. I teach secondary school, which is grade 6 to 8. And they have a pretty good mastery of English. So it's not often that, what I say goes over their heads. And if so, for maybe like my younger grades, like my grade 6s, just speaking slowly and, if you're trying to explain a game to them, not just explaining the rules, but kind of acting out the game so they kind of get an idea, because they are really smart, right? And they don't know the words in this language. I live in a pretty authentic, I guess, neighborhood. It's kind of on the outskirts. So I've only seen one other foreign person here besides my roommates, who are also teachers. So yeah, sometimes it can get a little tricky. There are like bigger chains. Like my favorite coffee house is called the Coffee House, and it's a chain. It's all over the city, and they usually speak English quite well. Menus there, they will be in Vietnamese and English, but a lot of places aren't. So that gets a little tricky sometimes, but it's usually just a lot of pointing and using your limited vocabulary. I'm slowly getting there. So yesterday I ordered a banh mi, which, if you don't know, it's like a sandwich, like different meats and herbs, and it's super good. And I ordered it all in Vietnamese. It's like, you don't need a lot of words, right? Like, so yeah, it can sometimes be difficult. The Grab drivers here, so like the Vietnamese Uber, they can't read maps, which is super annoying. So they always call me, and a lot of times they don't speak English, and I really can't help. So sometimes I'll just look for a Vietnamese person and be like, hey, can you talk to my driver? So it is sometimes a little challenging, and it is overwhelming, when you're just like, oh, I'm really just hungry and I want something to eat, but I have no idea what anything on the menu says. Yeah, that can get difficult, but people do speak English, so that's kind of helpful. So question 3, what is something I did not prepare for when moving to Vietnam? How tiring teaching would be. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoy it, but I teach 2 classes and then come home for lunch, and you bet I'm taking a nap. And I go back in the afternoon and teach more classes, and I'm tired. Like, I do not go out. Again, very rewarding, but I did not think it would be that like exhausting, even though you're not necessarily doing a lot of the teaching and the talking. Like, I'm doing a speaking class, so it's mostly the students, but at the end of the day, like, I am tired. What has been my biggest adjustment in Vietnam? I'm gonna go back to the language barrier, honestly. I've never really been to a country before where, the language was so different, right? Obviously, traveling in Canada, we're good. The States, we're good. I did a lot of all-inclusives. They all speak English there. When I was traveling Europe, there's a lot of English, and even if not due to, French, I can kind of understand when I read Spanish and Italian. So this has kind of been like the biggest culture shock, really, is, a completely different language. Okay, next question. How are the locals? Are they friendly? Is it easy to communicate with them? Honestly, the Vietnamese people I've met so far are so nice. from the staff at the company that I work for. Hello if you're watching, you guys are awesome. My TAs are amazing, you know, the people that work at my favorite coffee houses and food. The kids, they're all so sweet. It's a very respectful culture too, so when you kind of walk down the halls or, you know, walk to and from school, all the kids kind of bow and say hello teacher, which is really sweet. But I was walking home from school the other day, and like it's kind of apparent, right, that I'm a teacher. I'm a foreigner, walking kind of away from the school. I have, you know, my nice clothes on, and this older woman looks at me and smiles really big and says, hello teacher, thank you, and just really sweet, kind of, you know, I'm not her teacher, but she I guess was thanking me for kind of the work that I'm doing here and for helping all the kids. So yeah, they're really sweet. I adore, you know, the Vietnamese people. Communicating, again, it's a language barrier. It depends on the person, right? Whether they have a mastery of English or not. But yeah, really, really like the people in Vietnam so far. Is it true they have no rules of the road? Yes. But I love it. Except for when yesterday I got into an accident with my driver, and today I almost got squished between two buses, but it's fine. I don't drive yet. How do you get around? Grab. So there are a couple forms of Uber here. Uber does exist, I'm pretty sure, but like no one uses it. The main one is called Grab, G-R-A-B, and it's literally Uber. You know, you have your map, you put in your starting point and your end point, and you have a driver that comes and picks you up. I mean, what's different in Vietnam is that you can get bikes. So obviously most people get around on motorbikes. So instead of getting a car, which you can get a regular car, you know, a big car, you can get food delivered just like Uber and stuff. But mostly I use Grab bike. So a guy on his little motorbike comes and picks you up and drives you somewhere. And it's like the cheaper option, and it's a lot of fun. Sometimes a little scary, but a really nice way to see, you know, your surroundings. You're not being enclosed in like a metal box or anything. So yeah, it's pretty cool. What is your favorite and least favorite part of teaching? My favorite part of teaching is when a kid gets it, and you know, you give them that encouragement, like, oh, great job, like, you know, you pronounced everything exactly how you should, you know, you created the proper sentence structure, and just kind of seeing them smile is really exciting. You know, you feel like you're making a difference, right? You're hopefully bettering these kids' lives. So it's just really great when you kind of see that they get it. Also, when you walk down the hallways at school and everyone says hi to you, hi teacher, you know, how are you teacher? And you just kind of feel like a celebrity. It's really cool. Least favorite part of teaching, I mean, I love all of it, I will say that. But teaching my own definitely made me really thankful for my teachers back in high school. Lesson planning, you know, takes up a lot of time, even though I'm lucky and I teach a lot of the same grades at the same school. So I do one lesson plan, and that will be good for like 5 classes or a few classes depending on which grade I'm talking about. But yeah, taking like lesson planning, taking time out of your, you know, your time off to make these lessons, but again, it's fun. You know, unruly kids, it's kind of a hard part. One of my classes just was not listening to me, and I had to, you know, stop class for resort to punishment, but that is the job. So I really do. I love teaching, and for those of you who may not have known, I wanted to be a teacher when I was younger, so I'm kind of living up to my childhood fantasy. So yeah, that's pretty much all of the main questions and the ones that I get the most often. So thank you for watching my Q&A, and if you have any other questions, comment down below and I'll be sure to answer them. All right, thanks for watching. Bye. I'm such a loser.